This is a continuation and part 2 of the lesson related to the 1990s, the Clinton era. Scan the QR codes for relevant text references. Picking up where we left off, it was noted that the Clinton years were marked by strong economic performance, which brought about mixed social policy results. The centrist political realignment marked by Clinton's pragmatic brand of politics propelled him to 2 convincing electoral victories, despite the controversy surrounding his personal life. But the Clinton years also marked the beginning of a dynamic that would only intensify in the years to come: political polarization. Political polarization refers to the growing ideological divide between different political groups, often resulting in heightened partisanship and a reduced willingness to compromise. Over the past few decades, this phenomena has been amplified by changes in media consumption and communication channels. Talk radio emerged as a significant force in shaping political discourse, particularly in the United States, where deregulation and technological advancements allowed for more opinion-driven programming. So the rest of this lesson will explore how talk radio contributed to the rise of political polarization. We will be examining its historical roots, some of the regulatory changes that happened, influential figures, and its lasting impact on political communication. I believe that by understanding these dynamics, we can better appreciate the interplay between media and politics and how it continues to impact us in our own day and time. Talk radio's origins can be traced back to the mid-20th century when AM radio stations sought new ways to attract audiences amid declining music listenership. Initially, programming was subject to the FCC's Fairness Doctrine, which required broadcasters to present contrasting viewpoints on controversial issues. This regulation limited overtly partisan content and encouraged balanced discussions. However, as technology evolved and television became dominant, radio stations faced economic pressures, prompting experimentation with more engaging formats such as call-in shows and opinion-based discussions. These early developments laid the groundwork for talk radio's transformation into a platform for political commentary, setting the stage for its later role in shaping ideological narratives. The repeal of the Fairness Doctrine in 1987 marked a turning point in American broadcasting. This policy change removed the requirement for balanced coverage of controversial issues. This allowed radio hosts to adopt overtly partisan stances without fear of regulatory penalties. The deregulation created an environment where opinion-driven programming could flourish, leading to the rise of influential personalities who catered to specific ideological audiences. This shift not only transformed the radio industry, but also contributed to the broader trend of media fragmentation, where consumers increasingly sought content aligned with their political beliefs. The repeal thus played a critical role in enabling talk radio to become a powerful force in shaping political polarization. We will now examine the rise of conservative talk radio and the role that one influential show host played in particular. Rush Limbaugh's national syndication in 1988 revolutionized talk radio and established a template for conservative media success. Limbaugh's charismatic style, sharp political commentary, and the ability to connect with listeners propelled him to become one of the most influential voices in American politics. His success demonstrated the commercial viability of partisan programming. This inspired a wave of similar shows that catered to conservative audiences. Limbaugh and his impact extended beyond entertainment. He shaped political narratives, mobilized voters, and reinforced ideological identities. This era marked the beginning of talk radio as a dominant force in conservative politics, influencing policy debates and electoral outcomes for years to come. Next, we will see what role cable news played in media fragmentation and political polarization. The rise of cable news in the 1990s and early 2000s further fragmented the media landscape, creating opportunities for niche programming that catered to specific ideological audiences. Channels such as Fox News and MSNBC mirrored the success of talk radio by offering partisan perspectives, reinforcing the trend towards ideological sorting. This fragmentation allowed individuals to consume media that aligned with their political beliefs, reducing exposure to opposing viewpoints and deepening political divides. Talk radio played a complementary role in this ecosystem, amplifying narratives and fostering a sense of community among like-minded listeners. Together, these developments accelerated the process of political polarization in American society. Next, we'll take a look at how host-driven narratives and their use of emotional language, how this impacts political discourse. Talk show hosts yield significant influence over political discourse by framing issues in emotionally charged and polarizing terms. Their narratives often emphasize conflict, urgency, and identity, which resonate strongly with audiences seeking affirmation of their beliefs. This approach not only shapes public opinion, but also affects political behavior, encouraging partisan loyalty and reducing the willingness to compromise. The conversational format of talk radio fosters a sense of intimacy and trust, making listeners more receptive to ideological messaging. Consequently, talk radio has become a powerful tool for mobilizing voters and reinforcing political divisions, contributing to the broader phenomena of polarization in American politics. Now, before we conclude this lesson, I want to say a few words about George H.W. Bush's bridge presidency. Why the bridge presidency? Well, Bush's term in office is often seen as a transition between the Cold War era and the post-Cold War world. He connected the priorities of the Reagan era with emerging global realities, especially the collapse of the Soviet Union. He advocated for a kinder, gentler America, which was a central theme of his 1988 presidential campaign. He emphasized unity, voluntarism, and a softer tone in domestic politics. All of this would reflect his effort to lower partisan tensions after the increasingly intense polarization of the 1980s. Now, Bush would play a crucial role in guiding diplomatic efforts during the fall of the Berlin Wall and the reunification of the east and western parts of Germany. He supported NATO membership for a unified Germany, which came about the year after the fall of the wall in 1989. Membership in NATO was not something that was guaranteed at the time, but his steady, calm foreign policy helped avoid instability during what was a major historical shift. The first Gulf War was triggered by Iraq's invasion of Kuwait in August of 1990. It was at this time that Bush would build a large international coalition, which he called the Coalition of the Willing, that had broad UN support. The military campaign, known as Operation Desert Storm, was swift and successful in pushing Iraqi forces out of Kuwait. This demonstrated Bush's strength in multilateral diplomacy. Bush's presidency, however, is often remembered more for its foreign policy achievements than for achievements in domestic policy. His experience as a former CIA director, UN ambassador, and vice president shaped a cautious, pragmatic approach to global events. So although he only served one term, his leadership helped shape the geopolitical landscape that would follow in the 1990s. Now, before there were any Bushes in the presidency, there was Ronald Reagan, who was to the 1980s what Clinton was to the 1990s. That American era will be the subject of our next lesson, so stay tuned.